degree candidates, family members and friends, Provost Coatsworth, faculty and colleagues of the School of Continuing Education, and distinguished guests, welcome to the 2012 school ceremony. Please be seated. On this great occasion, we rejoice in the celebration of ideas and of people who exhibit the classic Columbia excellence, extraordinary minds, brilliant scholarship, and unparalleled potential. Our coming together this year marks SCE's 10th anniversary of its founding as a school and the elaboration of SCE's renewed mission to transform knowledge and understanding in service of the greater good, which we define as a just, compassionate, and sustainable global society. We celebrate, too, in coming together today, advancement of the school's vision for the future, to be a leading model of 21st century higher education, building domains of cross-disciplinary expertise that give rise to and advance emerging and evolving professions. This occasion marks the first year that Columbia will confer degrees on 400 graduates. Yes. Who hail from each of the 13 SCE Masters in Science degree programs. We also celebrate the launch of SCE's innovative hybrid master's program design, which combines rigorous residential experiences with highly interactive online learning. This model gives SCE the capacity to connect students, faculty, and alumni anywhere in the world through robust social media technologies and knowledge networks. With this design, we are proud to have created Columbia's first low-residency online master's degree. These new foci represent the convergence of remarkable strands of change and innovation, growing as they do from our stewardship of Columbia's core values and ideals, those of advancing learning at the highest levels, and teaching students to frame their ideas within the context of the larger society. And SCE students embrace and embody these principles in the fullest sense. Allow me to share a few examples. Sarah Coulomb entered the fundraising management program as event manager for the American Cancer Society and leaves as director of endurance events for Children's Tumor Foundation. Always a competitive athlete, Sarah now embarks on her most challenging event yet, Ironman competition. And 99 days out, Sarah began offering a reason a day as to why she was running, with each day dedicated to a child who is battling cancer and whose story she shares with social media. Prior to joining the Sustainability Management Program in its inaugural year, John David Capuano spent most of his 11-year career in operations and business analytics at a Fortune 200 pharmaceutical company. As a student here, JD demonstrated his leadership strengths as a founding member of the Sustainability Management Student Association. And during his studies, he also explored his entrepreneurial side. With advice from Professor Satyajit Bose, JD and fellow student Samuel Abbey co-founded a new venture, Closed Loop Advisors, a sustainability strategy and operations consultancy to which they will now be able to devote themselves more fully. Sahar Mali's multicultural American-Iranian upbringing brings a unique sensitivity, perspective, and thoughtfulness to her graduate work in negotiation and conflict resolution. She helped establish the Association of Negotiation and Conflict Resolution Students, an officially recognized organization at Columbia, which is now thriving. And in the summer of 2000, yes. In the summer of 2010, Sahar worked in Burundi for a regional organization doing peace building, working in the Great Lakes regions of Africa. She will continue her studies this fall at UC Berkeley's Bolt School of Law, where she will specialize in human rights law. Jesse Hendricks entered the sports management program in the spring of 2010 following his retirement for a career as a professional athlete. At that same moment, Jesse knew exactly what he wanted to do next: provide mentoring and leadership to student athletes. This student population is required to balance multiple and often competing priorities, but often not given the tools to do so, and frequently not given proper guidance for life after competition. Jesse began the MS program volunteering his energy and passion to Columbia's athletics program, and he now graduates as the university's full-time assistant director for athletic enrichment services. David DeLuca, earning his MS in strategic communication, combines his creativity with passion for creating positive social change. During his earlier media career as writer and producer, David created award-winning advertisements for companies including Nickelodeon, Dell, Safe Kids, and Target. He recently transitioned from the corporate world into the nonprofit sector. Leveraging the opportunity to choose a client and topic he was passionate about for his capstone project, David was hired by his capstone client immediately after completing his degree. He now serves as head of campaigns at DoSomething.org, a nonprofit organization with a commitment to youth and positive social change. And Catherine Ahl, who graduates from the MS in Landscape Design program, developed a design for the acclaimed PS 84 rooftop project on the Upper West Side. Her design integrated many aspects of the extensive wish list provided by students, parents, faculty, and staff of PS 84 into a highly multifunctional outdoor learning area with a sharp focus on sustainability and the effective engagement of students. The resulting design offers an outdoor classroom, vegetable garden, rainwater harvesting station, and butterfly, bird, and insect habitat. Catherine will pursue a career in landscape design in New York City, with a focus on sustainable and ecological design practices and habitat restoration. SCE degree candidates, these few examples demonstrate that you understand the power of education to change your lives and improve the lives of others, and you have chosen to make it a priority. Despite the varied academic careers you have pursued, you each embody a most powerful combination of elements. Each of you came to Columbia with purpose and urgency and a strong sense of the problems facing the world in the 21st century. Each of you brought to Columbia a unique combination of intellectual talent, maturity, and a broad spectrum of experiences and accomplishments. Individually and collectively, you have enriched the discourse in SCE classrooms and throughout the university. More importantly, as you leave Columbia, you leave knowing how to use your academic and intellectual gain to advance the public good. So, on this glorious day, we salute you, SCE students, on your commendable academic achievement. Thank you. And now it is my distinct pleasure to introduce the 22nd Provost of Columbia University, John H. Coatsworth, Professor of International and Public Affairs and of History. Provost Coatsworth is a leading scholar of Latin American economic and international history. He developed a distinguished record of scholarship and leadership at national and international institutions of renown, as a member of the faculty at the University of Chicago, as a visiting professor and Fulbright senior lecturer at prominent institutions in Mexico, Buenos Aires, and Madrid, as the Monroe Gutman Professor of Latin American Affairs at Harvard University, where he was also the founding director of Harvard's David Rockefeller Center for Latin American Studies, and the chair of the Harvard University Committee on Human Rights Studies. And just prior to his provostial appointment, as Dean of Columbia's School of International and Public Affairs, a position he held from 2008 until the beginning of this academic year. Prestigious societies have honored Provost Coatsworth for his work including the American Academy of Arts and Sciences and the John Simon Guggenheim Foundation. I first met Provost Coatsworth in 2009 when he was Dean of SEPA, and he warmly welcomed me to Columbia. So it is now an honor for me to present him to you, the graduating class of 2012. Provost Coatsworth.
Thank you, Dean Billmeyer. Have you ever noticed that as you get older, introductions sound more and more like obituaries? Longer and longer. It was very generous. Thank you. A warm Columbia welcome to all of you, to the faculty, to the dean, to the graduating students, but most of all, and here I think a round of applause is in order, to the family and friends and loved ones who have stood behind you during the hard times and the easy times that have made it possible for you to come to this day. A round of applause. Of all the graduation ceremonies this week at Columbia, this is my favorite. I'm deeply impressed with the graduates of the School of Continuing Education because you have recognized the value of continuing your education and renewing your knowledge. And in that process, you have been reinventing yourselves and your careers. Graduation is a significant and meaningful event for all of us. For students, it is an important signal that you have successfully completed the requirements of the degree. For faculty, it is a signal that we have successfully transferred the knowledge and skills of our disciplines to the next generation. For family and friends, it is an opportunity to celebrate a milestone in the life of a loved one. For the university, it is the time when we welcome yet another group of individuals who up until now have been immersed in a singular academic program into the wider Columbia University alumni community that spans the world. Until President Bollinger propelled me into the provost's office, I was the very model of the 20th century career. That's the model where we followed a prescribed program of study or training, embarked on a career we had trained in, and stayed there, rising slowly in the ranks for the rest of our lives. Pretty boring, but pretty secure. You, however, represent the career development paradigm of the 21st century. Fewer and fewer people now enter a profession and remain there for the rest of their lives. Rather, the competitive athlete becomes a fundraiser. The corporate executive becomes the nonprofit champion. The marketing professional becomes a bioethicist, and so on. Today, people earn a degree in a field and launch their careers for as long as it takes to discover other, even more exciting possibilities created by an economy in flux, by new technologies, or just by unexpected new opportunities. Many of you have done just that, and all of you represent this 21st century approach to a career. You are at the forefront of the 21st century in another way, namely in your embrace of cross-disciplinarity. The disciplines that, into which modern American universities are organized were invented in the doctoral programs of German universities in the late 19th century. And ever since then, ever since their adoption in the United States, we've been trying to find ways to break down the barriers that separate one from the other. Some of the most exciting and important advances in knowledge are occurring at the intersections of these old disciplines. One only needs to read the names of the MS programs whose candidates for graduation we celebrate today to recognize that cross-disciplinarity is at the foundation of the School of Continuing Education. Columbia University's School of Continuing Education is uniquely positioned to prepare people for this 21st century world of work and careers. It welcomes those who want to test new careers, those who want to add another disciplinary perspective to a base of knowledge acquired earlier in their lives, and those who want to position themselves in society's emerging professions. We are grateful you chose to come to Columbia University in pursuit of these goals and aspirations. You have enriched our academic community, and as alumni, I am sure you will continue to do so throughout your lives. We are proud of Columbia's School of Continuing Education and the mission it pursues. And we are especially proud of you, our students. Go forth and prosper. Stay in touch with the friends you have made here and with the professors you admired most, and be sure to leave the world a better place than you found it. Congratulations to you all.
I am particularly thrilled about this year's commencement speaker, the Commissioner of New York City Department of Parks and Recreation, the Honorable Adrian Benepe. Commissioner Benepé's work resonates not only with the goals of several of SCE master's programs. His dedication to protecting and enhancing the city's natural and historic beauty for us and for generations to come epitomizes the mission of our school. Adrian Benepe began his career as a teenage seasonal helper in the East River Park on the Lower East Side, and then as a ranger in Central Park. Between 1979 and 1995, his knowledge deepened as the scope of his work broadened through leadership positions, ranging from Director of Natural Resources and Horticulture, to Director of Art and Antiquities, to Director of the Annual Fund and Major Gifts for the New York Botanical Gardens in the Bronx, and then Vice President for Issues in Public Affairs for the Municipal Art Society. In 2002, Mayor Bloomberg appointed Adrian Benepe Commissioner of Parks and Recreation, where he now oversees the massive operation of over 29,000 acres and nearly 4,000 properties in the park system, miles and miles of beach, major stadia, and 2.5 million street and park trees. Don't know how that number was arrived by, but it's pretty impressive. Most importantly in this role, Adrian Benepe has improved park facilities and programs for children, developed new waterfront parks and greenways, which we all enjoy every day and all the weekends, and made New York City bloom with millions of new flowers and hundreds of gardens. Currently, under his leadership, the department is managing the largest program of park expansion and renovation since the 1930s, as well as signature projects to green the city and develop a more sustainable future. Along the way, Adrian Benepe earned a BA in English Literature from Middlebury College and a master's degree in journalism from Columbia, where he was awarded a Pulitzer Fellowship. He lives with his wife and 2 sons here on the Upper West Side, and he likes to run, bike, walk, and cross-country ski in the Central and Riverside parks and throughout the city's park system. So please help me welcome Columbia alumnus, neighbor, and fellow traveler, Commissioner of the New York City Department of Parks and Recreation, the Honorable Adrian Benepe.
Well, thank you, and good afternoon, faculty, family, friends, and most important, graduates. Let me thank Dean Christine Billmeyer for inviting me to speak to all these great-looking master's degree recipients here. You guys look fantastic. Let me also thank the people who made it possible for you to be here today in these warm gowns. Parents, loved ones, spouses, all the people who had the patience and fortitude and perhaps money to help get you through this. Yesterday, the graduates of Barnard College here on the Columbia campus heard an inspiring address from President Barack Obama. You, on the other hand, get me. The living embodiment of the TV show Parks and Recreation. And while my presence here may not generate quite as much media attention as the president or as much of a security lockdown, you will get around the campus a lot easier. The other thing is the president and I do share at least one thing in common, all kidding aside. We are both proud members of the Columbia alumni family, a family that you are now, in a few short minutes, going to be part of. As Dean Bill Myers mentioned, I did receive my Master's of Science degree from Columbia Journalism School right out there. in 1981, but my Columbia connection runs a great deal deeper. Most of the members of my family have attended here in one shape or another. I was somewhat of a faculty brat, and lots of people went here and profited by it, and we promise that once we earn our first million, we'll give a lot back. And I mean that seriously. Those of you who go on to reach fame and fortune definitely remember Columbia and give widely because it's sustained by its alumni. Commencement means a lot of things. Literally, it means a beginning, and all of you have heard that before. What you have done here in your really a great variety of master's degrees here enables you to begin again in your careers, but commencements are also a time to reflect back. And you look back in your education, you assess the totality of your Columbia experience, you feel, I hope, a connection with the people who have come before you and will follow you here. When I was here at the journalism school, it was like have a full-time job. It was a one-year program. And then when President Obama earned his BA from Columbia 2 years later, going to school was also his primary focus. But most of you, about 90% of you, are studying part-time because you're simultaneously working professionals. And that engenders a great deal of respect for me. You have come to this campus with a sense of purpose, a sense of urgency, a much more mature understanding of the problems that face our world. And as much as we'd like to hope that they are, the world's problems don't seem to be going away. They will require a Columbia education to meet those challenges. I am so impressed by the wide variety of disciplines you have studied, and some of them really do apply to the work that we do at the Parks Department, particularly things like sustainability management, landscape design, strategic communications, construction administration, just to name a few. We're working on the biomedical ethics. Well, we'll figure some parks connection there soon. You are hopefully all pursuing career goals related to the degrees that you've earned. If you want to change your mind at some point down the road and come back for another degree, that's okay. I will tell you that from my career, it's okay to change your path, and you should change your path often. My master's degree was in journalism. How does that qualify you to be the Parks Commissioner? Not on paper, but it's a winding path, with every step of which I learned something. My interest in parks dates back to my teenage years. Some of you in the audience, none of you getting degrees, are old enough to remember the park system of the 1970s when things were in very bad shape. And that's when I got my first job picking up garbage and mopping locker rooms on the Lower East Side. And then later I became a park ranger when things started to turn around under Mayor Koch, and a guy named Gordon Davis was Parks Commissioner. I still keep my Smokey the Bear hat hanging on the wall to remind me from whence I came, and also that only I can prevent forest fires. I left the Parks Department to get my graduate degree in journalism because in those days, the days of Woodward and Bernstein, we thought that's how you change the world. And it still can. Journalists can still do that. But I had been bitten by the public service bug, and I want to put that bug in your ear. Public service, if it's something you get to do, is really a great profession. You won't get rich at it, or at least you won't get rich at it legally. But it has rewards that far exceed those of many other professions. When I went back to the Parks Department, I hopscotched around. Every time somebody offered me a chance to do a different job for which I was not even the remotest way qualified, I took it. And that included doing natural resources and horticulture. It included doing art and antiquities. It included doing basic operations. And I learned, among other things, when somebody offers you a job, just take it. And then when you get it, figure it out and find smart people who know something about it to work for you. I also had the opportunity to learn fundraising, which is a very important skill. If anybody ever offers you a job doing fundraising, jump at it and do fundraising. I did that in the New York Botanical Garden and also at the Municipal Art Society. And then ended up in my dream job, which is being Parks Commissioner. Now, you could say playing right field for the Yankees is a dream job, and conducting the Metropolitan Opera is another dream job. The scariest word in the world for me is fly ball. So I'm no good in the outfield, and I can't sing on key. So none of those work. So I ended up at the Parks Department. So you say Parks and Recreation is kind of a joke, and you picked your basketball courts and parks, but it's really much bigger than that. And for those of you who study sustainability management, sustainability sort of starts in our parks. And why is this important? And why is building the mission of the School of Continuing Education, which is toward a just, compassionate, and sustainable global economy, that sustainability part, why is that important? it's important because all of us, unless we get our act together, are going to be facing the consequences of having an unsustainable economy and an unsustainable lifestyle. We currently have 8.2 million New Yorkers, and you are part of them. We expect to add 1 million New Yorkers by the year 2030. Whether you believe in global climate change or not, the weather is definitely getting more interesting. We've had tornadoes and the snowiest winter and the hottest summer all in the last 2 years, with tremendous damage to the city. We also oversee 50,000 acres between us and the National Park Service of open space. And on those 50,000 acres, incredibly important things are taking place. Why are parks so important to New Yorkers? Because most of us live stacked up one on top of the other in tall apartment buildings. We don't have front yards or backyards. Those are our front yards and backyards. But more important, and they play really important roles, is where our common life takes place. The same thing that Olmsted and Vaux intended. Democracy takes place in parks. And Sweet 16 parties take place in parks. And great happy moments take place in parks. And gatherings in time of sadness. And great romance takes place in the context of romantic landscapes. Parks also play this incredible other function that we are only now starting to understand. Trees on parks and on streets do these amazing things. They take in our waste product, the carbon dioxide, and convert it to oxygen. They absorb particulate matter from pollution. They reduce the ambient temperature, and they reduce the need for running air conditioners. They absorb stormwater. The shrubs and planting beds of parks absorb stormwater runoff, which keeps it from going into those combined sewer systems and polluting our water. Extraordinary scientific things take place in ways that we're only beginning to comprehend. We in New York City have started to understand the importance of parks. In recent years, Mayor Bloomberg, and I want to say how much I appreciate what he's done as a leader for parks, he's thought it would be a wise idea to invest $4.5 billion in the building and expansion of parks, the largest park expansion program in the history of the city, particularly using city funds. They did a lot of work also in the 1930s, but we've been the beneficiaries of this extraordinary dedication to open space. And the City Hall also worked to create something called Plan YC, which is a sustainable development plan for how does this city grow but still have clean air and clean water and mass transit that works and bicycle path systems. And it requires making some tough decisions that you get mocked for in the newspapers when you say it's actually a good idea when people can ride bicycles safely in the city streets and you have fewer cars spewing pollution out and doing the things that pollution does. So we are in the midst of this first great plan for having a cleaner, greener city of New York, and the Parks Department is sort of at the hub of it. We're building lots of new parks, and we're adding 1 million new trees, working with Bette Midler and her Million Trees New York City program. And we are converting asphalt traffic islands into little islands of green where all of that photosynthesis and the magic alchemy of turning carbon dioxide into oxygen is taking place. We're also working to develop guidelines for the rest of this country and this world of how you build sustainable landscapes for the 21st century. We worked with something called the Design Trust for Public Space. And we're saying that parks aren't or shouldn't be just beautiful places where you go and you sit on a bench and read the paper, but they also have to be healthy ecosystems that are resilient, that are sustainable, that are functioning, that are high-performance landscapes that are doing things other than simply sitting there. And we have worked with so many professionals, people who are architects and landscape architects and engineers and professionals in sustainability management to do things like add green roofs, to implement stormwater capture so stormwater goes into the ground instead of into the sewers, to take an old landfill in Staten Island, the largest landfill in the Northeast, and turn it into a park. These are the things that we have to think about as we move into a more sustainable future. And those of you who are in these disciplines, you are on the cutting edge. Don't worry, you will have jobs in this area. So all of these things come together, and many of you are well into your careers. Some of you are still advancing into your careers. And I will tell you that one of the smartest things that you did, I believe, was to come in here and say, I'm going to get a master's degree in this area of specialization. Because I look at a lot of resumes, and when I see that somebody has gone to school while they're working or taken time out from work to advance their career, that's the kind of person that I want to hire. And I will give you some unsolicited advice, and maybe in this economy it's not such extraordinary advice. When you're given an opportunity to do a job and you think, well, I'm not really qualified to do that, but they want to hire you anyway, just take it, especially when you're young. Don't worry about whether the job fits into your career track or not, because you will learn something in every job. I think some of the most valuable lessons I learned was working as a busboy in the Plaza Hotel, because when you're serving people, you learn humility and how to keep people happy, and I've spent the rest of my life doing that. So take a job and learn that there is no job that is too low or too dirty to do, because having a paycheck is also a good thing. We are sitting in an auditorium named for Roone Arledge, who was very big in the world of sports and sports broadcasting. So I close with a quote from another broadcasting legend, Tom Brokaw. And he said, I imagine this was at a commencement speech, it certainly sounds like something you'd say at a commencement speech. He said, "You are educated," and presumably he was speaking to new about-to-be graduates. "Your certification is your degree. You may think of it as a ticket to the good life. Well, let me ask you to think of an alternative. Think of it as your ticket to change the world." Now, I don't say that to you to make you think, oh my God, I've got to go out and change the world. But think about this. In many ways, small and large, as you go into your careers, you have the opportunity to change the world for the better in everything that you're doing. And if you can go home at night every day and say, I've taken this opportunity to change the world for the better, even if your salary is minimal and the hours are long, you will feel better for that. I can guarantee you that. So I salute you for your achievements, and I wish you the best of luck. Thanks very much.
And now we come to a very exciting moment in the ceremony. Program directors will now name the candidates for the MS degree. This degree will be conferred officially tomorrow by President Lee Bollinger at university commencement. And Greg Muth, member of the SCE Alumni Association, will present the alumni pin. We begin with Noor Raja, director of the Actuarial Science Program.
Will the candidates for the MS degree in Actuarial Science rise and come forward? Konstantinos Agistefano. Yiking Zhang. Philip Babcock. Yu Zhao. Yessi Lee. Quan Yu Chen. Eric Lee. Pin Ye Wu. Oswaldo Sanchez. Wen Lu Zhang. Joanna Zhou. I now introduce Robert Klitzman, Director of the Bioethics Program.
Thank you. Will the candidates for the Masters in Science and Bioethics please rise and come forward? Jason Keene. Claudia Land. Anne Dallave. Dr. Meredith Stark. Robert Whiteman. I will now introduce Trudy Baldwin, Director of the Communications Practice and Strategic Communications Programs. Thank you.
It gives me great pleasure to ask the candidates for the MS degree in Communications Practice to please rise and come forward. Angelique Tyree. Lindsay Mata. Leslie Peterson. Ashley Hicks. Nicole Tate. Eugenia Antonia Pupeza. Susan P. Park. Michelle Mazzarella. Vanessa Selignon. Kristen Danielle Mashi. Hi there. Ariana Imperato. Paul Joseph Plumeri. Reza Sofian. Indrani Balakrishnan. And now it's with pride and my deep respect I ask the candidates for the MS degree in Strategic Communications to please rise and come forward. Galina Ko. Pearl Chen. Andrea Mancuso. Jay Travis. Matthew DeMaio. Brady Ambler. Jordan Namaro. Amanda Munoz. Shanique Bonelli. Oh, look at that. Erica Soto Lamb. and child. Rajia Williams. Sharon S. Nortman. Napor Raganot. Gina Smilansky. Eula Sarah Ruth Dumbrill. Anne Holliday. Claire Marie Stapleton. Samantha Choi. Joshua Schnackenberg. Zara Aziz. Veronica Lake. Julie Hong. Shauna Randolph. Jesse Shinto. Melissa Cornick. Jeff Dunham. Sharon Pinello. Martha Bell. I now introduce Dennis Green, Director of the Construction Administration, Information and Digital Resource Management, and Technology Management Programs.
Will the candidates for the Master of Science in Construction Administration please rise and come forward? Cheryl Farrell, Kalyani Kodali, Clay Bramble, Sheldon C. Robinson, Anderson A. Simon, Jason A. Levine, Larry Wispeski, Greg W. Gregory Brooks, Grace Lynn, Marja Alexander, Nicholas S. Murray, Eric Bishop, Karen Beth Carey, Christopher J. Colangelo, Christopher Cuccinelli, Amar Qais Mohammed, Michael A. Chanfrau, Yelena Goldenberg Wells, John Paul Palamisano, Jun Kobayashi, Sungnam Chang, Andrew Hatzenbuehler, Bayardo Peralta, Joshua Howard Ropa. Just myself here. Will the candidates for the Master of Science in Information and Digital Resource Management please rise and come forward? Scott Spersky, Juran Randy Smith, Vincent Colavita, Jonathan Stone, Audie Cruz, Stephen M. Giangrasso, Richard H. Yoon, Tae Woong Ha, Jacqueline Outlaw, Val Catelgo Letheo, close enough, Tamaris Rivera, Leonie Schnook, Elizabeth Naithira Marwangas, Tanisha Madrid Batista. Okay, and last but by no means least, will the candidates for the Master of Science degree in Technology Management please rise and come forward. Srikanth Ramakrishnan, Subendu Bardhan, Kartik Bala, Javed Hook, Vipin Aurora, Jamie Hurtado, Martin Viao, Dennis Gonzalez, Anthony Ercolino, Parag Karnik, Alvin A. Sinkler, sorry about that, Clarence A. Bell, Sokia Lee, Win Hon, Christina Ergone, Christopher Beck, Rahan Khan, Suzanne D'Souza, Crescencio Macarenas, Karman Kwamar, Abdel Murtaza, Fat Iqbal, Vipin Khosla, Arman Pereira, Srinivas Yawakar, Chanda Pen, Justin Jones, Margaret Fairchild Morton, John Rosenfelder, Mary Pauline Murphy, Alexander William Miranda, Wayne Slavin, Hayden Wilson, Sean Milligan, Laverne Bloomfeld, Christopher Butler, Amy R. Lucas, Manuel Capelan, Suja Sorawradi, Randall Lauren Sawyer, Colin McCreath, Anand Panda, Jose Alberto de la Cruz, Edward J. Lavelle, Anil Vekam, Wen Zhu, Andrew Michael Van Degna, Hal L. Danziger, Calixto Perez Galan, David Shamoun, I now introduce Lucas Rubin, Director of the... Mr. Popularity, Lucas Rubin, Director of the Sports Management and Fundraising Programs.
Dean Bill Meyer, faculty and staff of the School of Continuing Education, family and friends, it is my honor and pleasure to introduce the candidates for the degree of Master of Science in Fundraising Management. Will the candidates please rise and step forward? Leah Heister. Carolyn Mary Teresa Tharp. Sarah Catherine Coulomb. Jennifer Snyder. Wendy Real Muto. Annika Demarest. Samantha Young. Melissa Pina. Sarah Catherine Monraga. Judith Michelle Brown. Mariana Sackler. Marielle Eckes. And Eliza R. Rosenfeld. Stephanie A. Chrysomalis. Amanda Kessler. Stacy Lynn Vassallo. Tamara Frere. Matthew Eric Benson. Modesta Matos Gooding. Leslie Robinson. Mark Anthony Habana. Julie Michelle Andriola. Now, will the candidates for the degree of Master of Science in Sports Management please rise and step forward? Eric Mitchell. Congratulations. Maya Johnson. Danielle Dominique Martin. Isaiah Glenn Bryant. Mark Luigi Cardillo. Matthew Horn. Brian Haas. Melissa Ann Murphy. Leslie Bush. Stephanie Ruth Casper.
So sad.
Michael Frederick Thiel. Allison Evans. Benjamin M. Talbot. Srinivasa Prasad Malmandi. Brian O'Malley. Joshua Jacoby. Mario R. Reyes Jr. and company. Al Lucia. Andrew William Lascari. Jason Francis. Noah Falkenstein. Jesse William Hendricks III. Adrian Lynn Clark. Jack Anthony Zola. And last but not least, Louis Barastelli. I now introduce Joseph Desponzio, Director of the Landscape Design Program.
Will the candidates for the Master of Science degree in Landscape Design please rise and come forward? You snuck in there, Louis. Louis Dean Truganis. Hello. Barbara Fernandez. Hello. Lauren Lynch. Hello. Julia Bellinger. Melanie Simons. Hello. Martha Casalunas. Elizabeth Boylan. Hello. Is Rebecca Giampietro McMacken. Jean Dyer Jones. Yes. Judy Von Gelb. Catherine All. Hannah Warren. Matthew Noiseux. And now I introduce Craig Irvine, Director of the Narrative Medicine Program.
It is my honor to ask the multi-talented candidates for the Masters in Narrative Medicine to please rise and come forward. Chris Cooper. Jesus Rivera. Dominic Decker. Robin Kemper. Aaron Larkins. Mario de la Cruz. Jennifer Claytor. Shady Grove Oliver. I now introduce Beth Fisher Yoshida, Director of the Negotiation and Conflict Resolution Program.
Will the fabulously facilitative and constructively collaborative candidates for the Master of Science degree in Negotiation and Conflict Resolution please rise and come forward? Iksa Bazan. Beth Ann Dillon. Gerald Jordan. Dionysia Martins. John Frazee. Daniel Cesar Vallejos. Vincent Linus Lungwitz. Monica Casper. Dima Schimmelfarb. Raphael Sakur. David Gottsman. Alexandra von Oblitz. Enid Portuguese. Elise Bristol. Ulufumilaya Makinwa. Sahar Mali. Alan C. Chen. Sefia Najifi. Yulia Rimsky. Carl Jason Allen. Rebecca Toffelin. Melina Darduini. Michael Ward. Lindsay E. Fitzgerald. Bubakar Mayiga. Paolo Anicito de Amaral. Meredith Stockman. Georgia Ray Thayer. Caitlin Errol Blaisdell Buck. Julia Eisenberg Benenson. Shweta Diman. Ilana Klenina. Melinda Arcebol Aquino. Grace Hewitt. Lisa M. Jenkins. Lisa Lauren Noon. Stephanie Jennings. And now it is my pleasure to introduce Stephen Cohn, Director of the Sustainability Management Program.
Will the spectacularly sustainable and environmentally sophisticated candidates for the MS degree in Sustainability Management please rise and come forward? Samuel Abbey. Natalia Ogreros Macaria. Iman Imali Ahmad. Lua Almana. Nazanin Amarian. Sarah Bacon. Danielle Baker. Edward Robert Bosch. Viveka Biani. Renee Branu. Emily Briggs. Evan Scott Brown. Lisette Butkowitz. President Jonathan Kane. Alvaro Congas. J.D. Capuano. Brian Carroll. Kathy Myung Chun. Larry Cheng. Alan Genji Chin. Kathy Coburn. Sarah Coulter. Jasmine Davis. Joe Michael DeGeese. Pablo Freund. Jairo H. Garcia. Daniel John Giafrida. Sarah Gudernach. Michael D. Harris. Daniel Held. Atelosika Iyala. I'm close, right? Sion John. Tyler Johnson. Uta Maria Yigiraman. Anas Kasawina. Ellen Kondraki. Joanna Florence Limon Levy. David Reed Logson. Jinan Louis. Jacob Mandel. Erica Vieira Marcos. Stephen Marlin. Ryan Meinke. Michael Walter Mumji. Dina Mustafa. Monica Perez Nevarez. Eileen Quigley. Pamela Quinlan. Julia Ragajio Ruiz. Susmitha Ravavarapu. Robert Schwartz. Robert Joseph Shortino. Julie Shershavin. Diana Beatrice Sierra. Serena Sinkler. Courtney Ann Small. Luke Statz. Linda Viray. Nicholas Walker. Margot Weiss. Adam Eukelson. And last but not least, Tanisha McMullen.
Well, now I take great pleasure in introducing our Class Day student speaker, Jason Keene, October 2011 graduate of the Bioethics program. Jason.
Good evening. I'm very excited to be here today, and I know all of you are too. Congratulations to all the graduates, and a warm thank you to the families and loved ones who have supported us along the way. In thinking about what to say today, I found the challenge somewhat unusual, as the program's graduating students today are all quite different. What connects a student in bioethics with another in construction administration, or actuarial science with strategic communication, or negotiation and conflict resolution with landscape design? We're not all advancing the same field or sharing a common discipline. We probably know very little about what each other has studied. But something does unite all the graduates here, and I think it's a reflection of the school that's graduating us. We all share a common spirit about our careers, a desire not to follow the well-trodden path, but instead to innovate and customize, to claim our careers as our own and mold them into something that's right for each of us. To visualize this a bit, I thought I'd share what set me on my course here at Columbia several years ago. At the time, I'd grown a career in marketing. I'd learned a lot about the power of emotional aspiration in brand building, and developed a great respect for people who combine their intuitive gut with smart strategic thinking. I was impressed, often excited by the field, but something was missing for me. Part of my personality had been dormant for too long. Certain skills and strengths were ready to rise and shine. I loved philosophy and debate and the excitement of ideological conflict. I wanted to invest in projects that had social impact I could see and feel. I wanted to research and write, tackling fascinating questions that are just waiting to be answered. I spent several Saturdays really thinking about and writing down my strengths, my needs, my passions, and my list became quite long. I was honestly confused and frustrated. How could I construct and choose a singular, focused path and know it's the right choice? I decided to picture myself several decades from now, retired and in my golden years, gazing back on my life. I thought about which choice would make me smile fondly and quietly nod to myself that I did it right, that I lived my professional life to the fullest and did what I was meant to do. That's when I realized that I simply wanted to do a lot of different things, and that the assumption that I had to choose just one vocation was my problem. Why couldn't my career feel more like an endless adventure than a mapped out path? A lifetime career that didn't form a traditional arc trajectory, but zigged and zagged, slantways and sideways. A journey that would allow me from time to time to not just test the waters of something new, but take a running start and cannonball or belly flop right into it. This kind of professional philosophy, though, needs some anchoring. Each path should still complement the others, even if they are quite different. And so the trick is to find harmony in what you pair together. And I think it's in pursuing this balance and creating a strong overlap where the School of Continuing Education really offers great value. The degree programs in this school are all bridging together and drawing on more than one skill set or knowledge base. They enrich one area by adding the perspective of another. A program like narrative medicine brings personal storytelling and subjective experience to the clinical world, enriching patient care. A program like fundraising management brings the acumen of the business world to the public champions at nonprofits, optimizing their ability to fulfill their missions. What's really exciting about this, beyond the sense of adventure and variety that inspires my own journey, is that this kind of training reflects a modern approach to careers. The need for the multidisciplinary perspective is greater than ever. Last October, the Harvard Business Review published an article called How to Make Yourself Indispensable and discussed the value of the interaction effect, evident in employees who are cross-trained in multiple functions and skill sets. Last April, in the New York Times' top 10 list of where the jobs are, half of them involve some kind of interdisciplinary training, and nearly all are a result of technology advancements making new kinds of services, and thus jobs, available. Plugging my own program in bioethics, another article in the New York Times last month talked about the shifting priorities of the Association of American Medical Colleges as it looks to integrate more social science training into curricula in order to protect and nurture the human side of the profession. In short, the marketplace places a premium on the multifaceted and integrated perspective of the very students who are graduating here today. What joins us together is our knowledge that it's never too late to reinvent yourself, and a heartfelt belief that it's actually exhilarating to do so. I thought I'd end by circling back to where I began, brand marketing. Part of what makes a brand truly compelling is giving it an inherent tension in its personality, infusing it with two attributes that don't typically live together. Apple took superior technology and gave it humanity. Target took high-end designers and made them accessible at mass-level prices. I like to think that with our integrated degrees, we're applying this strategy to our own professional brands, a contrast in our credentials that makes our perspectives truly compelling. So in summary, I believe there is great emotional reward and strategic value in pursuing an integrated education. And I think that's what we've all achieved. I know we all look forward to learning about each other's continued academic and professional success. And as you race to the top of your respective fields, I encourage you to take the scenic route along the way. Thank you.
Before we move to the last formal part of our presentation, I would like to thank the speakers, including Provost Coatsworth, who is not here at the moment. But they have really captured the spirit of the school, and more importantly, the spirit of your endeavor in ways that they did so beautifully. And I would like to, all of us, to applaud our speakers today. And I now call to the podium Leah Heister, May candidate for the MS degree in Fundraising Management, who will present the class gift of 2012. Leah?
Dean Billmeyer, on behalf of the graduating class of 2012, it is my honor to present the school with a gift of $7,500 and growing.
Wow, thank you. Leah and graduating students, I am deeply honored by this most generous gift, and I thank you for your commitment to the school. And we do want to keep hearing from you. So you may be graduating today, but you will never leave us. Just remember that. And we will never leave you. So, degree candidates of the class of 2012, Columbia has benefited from your contribution to life and learning on this campus. Now it is time for you to take your remarkable educational accomplishment and put it in service of the greater good. Continue the work you are doing, follow your path, and enrich the world as you have been. My congratulations again to all of you. This brings us to the end of the formal part of the ceremony, but we look forward to seeing you at the reception on Ansel Plaza. Would the audience kindly remain in place until the conclusion of the recessional? Graduates, please rise. And now, let the music begin.